This podcast is brought to you by Voice and Vision, bringing help, hope, and healing to individuals, families, and communities affected by mental illness, addictions, and disabilities in southeastern Pennsylvania. Financial support for this podcast is provided by a Veterans Trust Fund grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Military and Veterans Affairs.
Welcome to Untold Valor, a podcast with a unique focus on veterans, featuring stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength. Listen to hear veterans share their perspectives on what it's like to battle mental health challenges, combat addictions, and overcome other adversities unique to those who have served.
Welcome to another edition of Untold Valor Veterans Recovery in Action. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast as we focus on veterans with stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength, or partners and services that help veterans along their journey. So listen as we get folks to share their perspective on what it's like to battle mental health challenges or combat addictions or overcome adversities unique to those that have served. So we're always glad to have folks tuning into the podcast and checking out the message. And this week on the show, we don't have Reverend Ben. He's out today, but we'll certainly have our thoughts with him. But we have a great group of folks here joining us. We've got Keith Moore and Danielle Veltri from EDSI who are going to join us and talk about a few things about what that is and what they do. So guys, thanks so much for being here. Danielle, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having us. I'm honored.
Absolutely. Keith, thank you as well. Hope you're having a good day.
Thank you, Mark. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell us and tell me as well. So I'm always learning and along the way. I've got a daughter in the Navy, but it's always good for me to learn additional pieces of things. So what is, first of all, EDSI?
EDSI is Educational Data Systems Incorporated. We are a workforce development company that has been around, I'm going to say, approximately 40 years at this point. We started out in Dearborn, Michigan. And now we have, again, approximately, I think, between 30 and 40 offices throughout the United States. This office in particular deals with clients who we actually have a bunch of different programs. We have a program for TANF clients who are people who are receiving public assistance. We have a couple of youth programs here. We have a program for reentry. And we have a program for veterans, which is what we're talking about today.
Okay. And so, Keith, what do you guys, for folks that you focus on in the veteran side, what are some of the things that you tend to help veterans with? What do you guys do as a team?
I guess we establish a plan with them, which starts with their resume. Mm-hmm. We go over job readiness, whether it's mock interviews, just the everyday of the hiring process with businesses. And also during that time, we give them, because some of the veterans we do run across may not have the experience on the computer. We also give them some pointers on what to do on the computer when you're applying for jobs or reaching out to prospective employees.
Gotcha. And so, obviously working with people in different, walks of life, trying to figure out how to help them through. What are some of the challenges that you guys tend to find most that would serve, our listening audience here as it relates to veterans or their family members, things of that nature, especially if they are having a little bit of a, difficulty adjusting. Maybe they've recently got out or they've been out for a few years and, just having some struggles that way. Is there some things that you guys kind of see on the regular that you can help walk that through?
I know this is actually the second year that we are doing the veterans program. Mm-hmm. And I can say that initially we had on staff the people weren't veterans. So we definitely realized pretty quickly that, we needed to have veteran staff here so that they can talk veteran to veteran.
Gotcha.
So they knew what people had gone through. So they knew the ins and outs of getting out of the service, of what they were dealing with and things like that. We have behavioral health advocates here. We always, they're available if anybody wants to meet with them. And that's, regarding anything going on in their lives, if they need any assistance. Keith had talked about our team specifically does work with job placement. But we also have training available for veterans, case management services. So we try to touch on, everything, every aspect of like what would be needed. One of our staff, Mike Bate, was already on the podcast, but he is our case manager here. And he, being, I think, in the service 27 years he served, he pretty much has got it down pat of like when people get out, what they can go through, what they're looking for, what they can use assistance with. So he's been like a real asset to us, of what we as a staff can do to help our veteran clients.
I got you. Yeah. And that's a great point, right? So bringing somebody in to have that, to talk the talk and walk the walk sort of thing, right? So it's easy to relate to someone who's kind of been through that. And where can folks find you guys and reach out? Obviously, you talked about offices across the country, but online or locally in your area.
In our area, we are located in Chester, Pennsylvania, and we are smack dab in the middle of Chester. We are like 160 East 7th Street. We actually share a building with the police station, so we're on the first floor. Yeah, we also work with the Career Link. So if anybody's familiar with the Career Link, they're right across the street from us. So yeah, they can give us a call. They can look us up online. They would specifically find us under the Delaware EDSI Earn Center, Delaware County Earn Center.
Gotcha.
Please, they can call us, email us, whatever works for them. We will respond, whatever it is. Absolutely. We also have a QR code that we can probably get to you guys. Maybe you can put it on.
We can put it in the show links. Yeah, we can put it in the show note links and things of that nature.
Yeah,
make it easy.
That would be great.
EDSI.com, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, so you guys have been doing this. Obviously, this is the second year for the program on veterans, but in general, I would imagine that the skills translate, right? Helping people just kind of get themselves, back into whatever groove it is they need to do in these veins that you guys work with. Keith, that's got to be a pretty rewarding experience as well, especially seeing somebody who may be struggling or maybe just have gotten themselves back on the right groove. They just need a little help getting over the top.
Oh, yeah, it's very rewarding. I mean, it's one of my jobs as a business service rep is to find job placement for them. It's very, I think it's very important that our team, as the BSR team, is to find them a place where they will grow. And I always say to them, like, let's not just take a job. Let's get something that you're going to enjoy. You're going to work to every day. So it's very rewarding. Here in Delaware County, you do see some of our clients, veteran clients, at their job. So it's pretty, if you walk into a local establishment, you see them, it's very rewarding because they will, come up to you and thank you or just say hi to you. So on that aspect, it's very rewarding to see, our veterans back to work and happy at what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And imagine, probably Mike was good at, for asking some of these questions, but maybe you guys can still answer them. Is there any, unique challenges that you've started to notice or that you're more comfortable speaking with on today when it comes to the veteran side of things? I know obviously not being a veteran, but still some of the immediate challenges that maybe our listeners are, kind of facing, like just where do I start or, what's the best first step, if you will?
I think the best first step is just coming to see us. I think as our team is in EDSI, I think we focus on their growth too. Mm-hmm. So what I think a lot of our veterans we've ran across recently is their transferable skills. Sometimes they have stuff that isn't transferable to a job, say as a store manager. but we've built them up and say, listen, you have transferable skills that I think you'd be a great fit for this position. And, you could grow through the company.
And I imagine, Danielle, that's probably an interesting challenge, right? Like saying, okay, what are some of the things that I learned in the Marines or the Army or whatever? How is that a transferable skill, to, civilian life? And that's often a challenge. I know one of the things that Reverend Ben talks about often when he's on the show is some of those challenges that it is in figuring out, especially if you've just recently been out or maybe just a year or so, like how can I take some of these very unique skill sets and parlay that into life back here at home?
Well, and yeah, I think that we have a really, really great team. But also, there's a lot of conversation when looking over the resumes and when talking to, the veterans about their skills. a lot of times, right, they don't realize like, oh, I did this, I drove, let's say, a truck, a Hummer-V for this, and that. Oh, well, then you might be great for cross-country driving, delivery, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But even like the simplest things, like I just think that having that conversation and us listening to them and what it is that they want to do means everything. Again, I do feel veterans, Mike always says veterans talk to veterans.
Yeah.
What we've established here, like they come in, they feel comfortable, and they know that we're working with them. We want to help them. So it definitely, I feel like, has made a difference in their interaction. I feel like this year the program has been much different. There's been so much more communication with our veterans. There's a lot more participation, and they're much more open. So I definitely think that, having that face-to-face communication, taking the time to go over all of the things with them about the transferable skills, pointing things out to them makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And, our theme this month is going to be planting a seed, right? So for this podcast, as well as our next one for the month of February, it's kind of like planting that seed of getting something done, getting something growing, if you will, right? So I think when you think about a resume, I was just talking with a friend the other day who she's in her 50s and she's starting life over again. And it's a scary, daunting process. And you can translate that to any walk of life, right? Veterans as well, whether you're, 30, 40, 50, whatever it might be. And resume, like tweaking your resume and getting it set to get noticed, it really is kind of a skill. It's an art form in and of itself nowadays, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not going to give his name because we have one of the best resume people, I think, in the whole Delaware County and Pennsylvania and all. He can make a resume out of anything. He can transfer it into anything. Veterans aside, like I said, we deal with a lot of TANF clients. We also get a lot of people.
What does that stand for folks that aren't familiar with that, please?
Oh, temporary assistance for needy families.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes. So, they may come in and you get, let's say, somebody, man or woman, that says like, oh, well, I've just been home with the kids for 20 years, so I have no experience.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you have no experience? You've cooked, you've cleaned, you've taken care of your troop. You got plenty of experience. So, again, thank goodness, like we have the knowledge and we just learn what works for people and what we can do to for that assistance.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Keith, some of the other things on here that just may or may not relate, but what is reentry? Some of the things that you guys service. I see obviously the TANF that Danielle just explained. Veterans reentry. What's that?
Reentry is somebody who may have a criminal background, whether it's a misdemeanor, a felony. What we do, we work with them closely, find an employer, second chance employer that's the best fit for them.
Gotcha. And DDAP is another one I notice.
Yeah, our DDAP program is for people that may have had substance abuse issues.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see probably some lines blurring here a little bit too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because veterans certainly sometimes there's certain ones, folks out there that struggle with addiction or issues in that nature. So yeah, I mean, again, it could be a great resource for people to tap into. Anything else you'd kind of like to share, guys? That that's something that you think would be beneficial for the listening audience. Take your time, either one, whoever'd like to start. But we always try to talk about like a message of hope or something. And with this month's theme being kind of planting a seed, Keith, what would you say would be a good takeaway from you, like for that kind of concept?
I guess it's just the concept. I would say, but it's just as us as EDSI. I feel that we are we have saying through this whole podcast. Planting the seed, I would say, is that getting them through the door, building some self-confidence with their resume, getting into the job. Job search is scary. But we're here to support you through the whole process. We're just here to make sure you have everything you need, whether it's mental health or you just need somebody to talk to, me or Danny about what's going on in life, and we can just assist you with your job placement at another time if that's not something you want to do right now.
Yeah, just kind of getting the ball rolling, Danielle. Is that that's probably a good way of looking at that, right? Sometimes the hardest step, right? What is that saying? The hardest step is the journey of 1,000 steps is the first one, or something like that. So, Danielle, what about you? Kind of similar concepts?
Oh, absolutely. I just did want to real quick. We had talked about all the different programs, but just so people know, they could definitely come in, like you had said, if there is a criminal background, if there is any kind of issues with drugs, they could be dual enrolled in our program.
Oh, okay,
so
great.
So you can be a veteran. You can also be dealing with DDAP. You could be a veteran. You could deal with reentry. And again, everybody here on staff is willing to help everyone. Yeah. So it's definitely, again, the first thing is coming in the door or making that phone call to us and just say like, hey, like, can I come in and meet with somebody and find out what you guys are doing and how you can help me? There you go. Mm-hmm. There you go. We will never turn anybody away. Even if we don't have the resources here or we don't have, something that can accommodate somebody, we'll find where we can, send them. Definitely.
Yeah. And, so there's this network that was obviously been growing here. We're using the podcast to shine a light on some of that as well. Obviously, you guys are working with the fine folks over at CompureCore, Olga and Rob over there and Voice and Vision. So, there's a lot of resources out there. One of the themes that we definitely touch on a lot here on the show as we close this out is that there's tons of resources. The struggle is just doing it, right? Sometimes for people, it's like just asking for help and that's hard for anybody in any walk of life, but certainly veterans who feel as though that they've done, accomplished this or accomplished that in their military career. I don't like asking for help, right? Whether it's a macho thing, whether it's a whatever, but just asking for help. That's often the hardest part. So plant that seed, right? Plant the seed of help. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out again. So you can go by the website, which is EDSI.com. Lots of good tools, tips, and resources there. Of course, you can come visit them locally as well. And so thank you, Keith, and thank you, Danielle, for being here with us. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate your time. Any final thoughts before we go?
No, Mark, just thank you so much. And we really appreciate you getting all of this out there. Anything we could do to help our veterans, we are definitely indebted to them, without a doubt.
Well, we'll put some links in the show note description, and Eve will throw that QR code in there as well to make it a little easier. So we'll get some of that stuff over from the team, and we'll put that in the show notes for this episode of the podcast. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on Untold Valor Veterans Recovery in Action. And, of course, you can find us on Apple and Spotify and YouTube platforms. So thank you so much, folks. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we will see you on another episode here on Untold Valor. You've been listening to Untold Valor by Voice and Vision. We hope you found the information and resources discussed today helpful. As always, thank you for listening and for your support. Remember to stay connected with us through our various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to visit the website, voiceandvisioninc.org. That's voiceandvisioninc.org, where you can sign up for our blog and find free resources and information on upcoming events, webinars, workshops, and get support. You can also access our free help and hope guide for individuals and families struggling with substance use and addiction. If someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help because you and your life matter. Remember, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available to you at any time by dialing 988. We are all ambassadors of hope and recovery. And if you want to share your story, please contact us. CompureCore is also looking for veteran mentor volunteers and veteran participants. To find out more information about CompureCore, please call 610-541-0790. That's 610-541-0790. You can find all the links and contact information for the resources mentioned on today's episode by checking the description and the show notes section of your app. Thank you again for tuning in and for your support. Until next time, this has been Untold Valor.